Okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
Good luck.
Good luck,
Thank
guys.
you.
Good luck, everyone.
So, this is it. This is the beginning of the relay. This is the beginning of Final Fantasy 1 for the GBA. This run's a lot different than last year. You can tell immediately by the fact that we actually buy more than just a one bit of equipment with this one.
Yeah, the GBA run is a lot different from the one we had last year. The PSP has an equipment glitch that's native just to that version of the game, and it makes the run completely different. And this, you actually have to do some leveling and buy some equipment to survive a lot of the fights later on in the game.
You'll notice that we're actually also buying magic in this run. We don't like in the PSP run. The only magic that we buy is haste and Healara, pretty much.
And teleport.
And teleport, of course, and teleport. But in this one, we're buying things such as Cure, we're buying Steel, or Temper as it's known in other versions. So there's a lot more to it in this run than in the PSP run.
Yeah, there's gonna be a little bit of leveling on the way to the first boss. Not very much. We just need to be level 2.
Yeah, Nicky's got pretty much almost the perfect encounter. It was an ambush, but she's also got a crazy horse, which gives one more experience than you need for a level 2.
Yeah, level 2 requires 14
experience. That even surprising.
Goblins give a pack of 4 gives, I believe, 6 experience. So
yeah, not that much.
So you need to fight multiple packs in order to level up.
It's just a bit of background on the story, because I feel like the text is going to be blasted through. At this point, Garland has basically kidnapped the Princess of Cornelia. So the king says, "If you can help me get my my princess back, then we'll build a bridge for you to get to where you need to go." Simple as that at this point, but it gets much more complicated later on. You're also seeing Leo use pretty much the equivalent of holy magic in this game in the form of Dia, which damages undead enemies, and it's quite good at this point in the run. We're going to probably end up seeing a lot of Dia throughout this run as well, because there's a lot of undead enemies in this game.
Praise the sun!
There we go. There's Garland down for Nicky.
I just even started. Brilliant! I love this garland.
So here we see the bridge has actually just finished being built. And now our four warriors of light can head to Provoker. But first, of course, we have probably the only toilet break in the run in the form of... it literally is the only toilet break in the run.
Yeah.
in the form of a 2-minute cutscene
Well-
that you can't actually skip. The PSP
And-
version can skip it, and that's it. No other version can skip it. And so their quest began. The 4 warriors of light felt overwhelmed by the great task destiny had placed upon them. And now we have to wait for it to scroll further. They did not know the true significance of the 4 crystals they had held in their hands. The crystals that once, long ago, shone with a light so brilliant.
So I'm taking a bit of a delay to actually get on the screen because my white mage died at Garland. Which doesn't happen really often, but obviously it has to happen now. With an encounter on the way.
So, now that Nikki's gone through the cutscene, she's safety saving. So that if she ends up dying, she doesn't have to watch the cutscene once again. Which,
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not sure about where to save. Usually I don't save at the beginning, but just
Yeah,
to
I
be on the
usually
safe
don't save
side.
after that either, but be wiser to do this.
yeah. Normally if I'm doing a safety run, I'll save at the bridge after the cutscene, and then I'll save halfway, and then I'll save just as I go in. Pretty much.
Mhm.
And my encounters right after the bridge are so awful, they really prove me right in saving.
Which monster did you end with?
It's one of
First
those
the lizard,
awful
no,
encounters.
Walk wolf, 2 wolves, and 2 goblins.
Oh yeah, this game has really something with wolves.
Random
For sure.
encounters are terrible in this game, I'd like to point out. I'd love to explain this bit now, actually. Generally speaking, there's sort of an idea, at least I follow this idea quite seriously, and I think quite a lot of people are on the same boat, that wolf encounters are the worst thing to run away from in the history of time.
Definitely.
Just because you see them so much in the beginning game when you're not really able to run away from them.
Now, usually you can just run away first turn. Everyone will get 1 attack off. But yeah,
Mhm.
this time I had 4th round lead.
Yeah. In my experience, it's either first time or you have to try 5 or 6 times. So generally, both teams so far, or both Leo and Nikki, are not exactly getting the best of encounter luck at the moment.
It's the
Wait.
worst I've ever gotten to this
Oh,
round
wow.
by far. More than a minute. I really should have saved before this encounter.
I think in any run, I think the least I've ever seen is 3. No, the least I've ever seen is 2. And it's the worst bit, in my opinion. It takes so long to get from one end to the other, and it's just...
So yeah, I got an
Super
awesome
silly.
sub 3 Garland, and this is the worst pirate split. Usually I've finished pirates by now.
Nikki's just resting up here. We saw Leo actually use the inn in Cornelia. The price of an inn actually changes from town to town.
Yeah, usually I don't need to use
Yeah, I used it because I had
But
to
with
revive
all
my white mage. so-
annoying encounters, I just don't have a chance. Also, something to note is that while it looks as if this game would have rows, it actually doesn't.
Hmm.
Which Which is why I'm attacking the pirate in the back the first turn to save inputs for the second.
One thing you'll also notice, if everyone's doing it correctly, is that you'll notice that the warrior and the white mage are targeting the same pirate each turn. This is because at the moment the white mage is a white mage, obviously, so white mages aren't known for damage. And the warrior is actually is only hitting once in an attack at this point because his agility isn't high enough to do a second attack. Whereas the red mages are able to actually attack twice, so they actually output more damage. So by having the white mage and the warrior attack the same person each time, they're basically killing them faster. And now Leo has just boarded the ship, and welcome to my favourite part of FF1 speedruns. This is 15 puzzle. This is, I think, FF1, PSP, and NES are the only two runs that don't really require 15 puzzle to be incredibly... like, the fastest runs don't require 15 puzzle. Every other category requires 15 puzzle in some way. Whether it's because you need to get money, or because you need to get a certain item, which at the moment Leonis is waiting. He's basically giving himself a buffer period so that he can basically get second place repeatedly, giving him more chances of getting the emergency exit that Nicky just got. The emergency exit is the item that we're looking for here. There's other items that are useful, such as the Hermes sandals. There's also some items that you can sell for quite a bit of money, such as the like the elixir, remedy, phoenix, or remedy I'm not too sure about, but I think Phoenix Down sells for quite a bit. You also get elixirs from this, and you also get mega elixirs for first place wins.
It's also
the
worth
goal...
noting that the emergency exit is a 1 in 6 chance.
Yeah. So now that Nikki is selling basically some of the items that she picked up from the 15 puzzle, including a mega elixir which sells for 2,000, we're looking to basically have, what is it? It's around like 800 gil or so when we reach Elfheim, is it? If I'm not mistaken. And then we're able to buy other things that are necessary, pretty much.
Yeah, it's 730. More could give us some interesting strat possibilities, but basically 730, which are also done by the Mega Elixir already.
Mm.
Yeah, we're looking to buy an iron shield, a helm, some antidotes, and some tents in Elfheim.
I'm gonna stick to the puzzle for ages.
It's not going very well.
Not at all.
Very well. But it's okay
Yeah.
because Nicky's on a Sahagin encounter, which is notorious for being the worst thing to happen in history. The Sahagin encounter is one of the few sea encounters you get when you're on the boat. Generally, it's difficult to run away from Sahagins.
It's just like wolves.
It's
Usually
just like
I don't have a
wolves.
problem, but today I just seem to attract these impossible encounters.
The way running works in FF1 is it's dependent on agility. So the Sahagins and wolves have a really high speed, which makes it incredibly difficult to run away from them.
Ooh, another one. I like this. I like that Nicky's actually queued up attacks for the warrior and the two red mages, but it's actually queued up the white mage to flee. So by doing that, it sort of gives Nikki a chance to escape before finishing the battle, which would obviously be the fastest option. But it also gives her a chance to just finish off the encounter, so that she has sort of like a finite time where it will end, and then the remainder of it will be... any other time is just time save at that point.
Yeah, it's like, so by doing that, you still have the chance to run away, but in the off chance that you don't run away, you're not wasting time running away and then fighting the encounter. It's a really smart move.
Okay, I'm gonna stop here. I'll just forget about the emergency exit.
Yeah, normally the idea in the PSP run, the idea is that the emergency exit is only worth it if you get it first try.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't get it, then I think Chrono said that in his testing, if you try for it once and get it, then that's faster than if you don't try at all. If you try once and don't get it, then it's slower. So
Yeah.
it's very much in most runs, it's very much a case of, do I want to go for it and finish and just have to reset, or well, not so much have to reset, but take a 30-second time loss for it, or do I want to, just ignore it and just try and hope for good encounters?
The majority of
Yeah.
PSP runners will ignore emergency exit, except in races when we kind of like just do it for fun. But
Yeah, the difference
if in a
is that-
serious attempt, I'll just reset if I don't get it.
Said in GBA, you save like 2.5 to 5 minutes with it, so
Yeah. Encounters generally are a lot more difficult to run away from in GBA because we don't actually have some of the equipment that we have in PSP, such as 5 or 6 Thief's Armlets on everyone, that sort of thing, where their agility gets pumped up to like ridiculously high levels, meaning that they get to go first, they can immediately escape, or they can immediately queue up an attack that will kill everything immediately. Lots of immediateness in PSP. And it just makes random encounters generally not as good in the GBA version in comparison. So it saves a lot more time in this version than it does in PSP. That's why we go for it, as well as the fact that we need some gil. So it gives us an opportunity to get quite a bit of gil.
In fact, even in PSP, if you get a really good exit from the Cavern of Earth, you can actually lose time with the emergency exit if you get like a really, really fast exit, is making it not even worth it. It's really dependent on RNG in PSP whether the emergency exit is worth it or not. In GBA though, it's worth it every time.
Yeah. By the looks of it, unfortunately Leo has seen the demise of his
I
his
did the
warrior and his white mage.
stupidest mistake ever, not healing your party even before going grinding.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't really remember that I rested before the pirates and not after. But that's okay.
I shot a one-step gas ambush, so you can imagine.
Ghasts, let's have a quick talk about ghasts. Ghasts aren't great. Generally speaking, undead encounters have the ability to just make your time just slip through your fingers with the power of paralysis. It's easily doable for a random encounter of ghasts to just paralyze everyone, and it's not fun because
Yeah,
then
one
you
of the
have
things-
no control.
One of the things with FF1 is that undead monsters have the ability to paralyze on hit, and so you can't do anything when you're paralyzed. So if you get into an encounter, and especially an undead ambush, where all of your characters get paralyzed, you can just sit there and waste 2-3 minutes even by getting continuously paralyzed over and over again.
I remember once upon a time someone mentioned that the chance for a hit to paralyze you is more than the chance for your turn to try and cure it. Because every time that you get, when you're paralyzed, when your round is going, that person's turn or that character's turn he won't be able to have any actions, but there's a chance that you can escape from paralysis, essentially. But the chance of being hit by paralysis is greater. So it is possible to actually just die from being paralyzed, because they'll just hit and hit and hit. And even if they're only chipping away 1 or 2 health, as is the case in PSP, they could be chipping away 1 or 2 health and then still just kill you.
Yeah, I've seen a couple runners, even in PSP, die to being paralocked. It's not very common in that run. It would be more common in GBA, but it can still happen.
GBA, PSX, NES, Paralock. I think NES, they generally have a step count, so they've rooted out as many of them as possible. But things like PSX, GBA, Wonder Swan, or PSP Glitchless, essentially, it's not great. It's not, Paralock is not great. There's also Sleep Lock, but that's completely nowhere near as common.
So here you see Nikki resetting over Pisco Demons. If I understand it correctly, she wants a 2-encounter formation, because these guys are incredibly dangerous in GBA.
They just hit so very hard. So it can either be anywhere between 2 and 4, and at this point in the game, usually it's just quite a lot of it's just not good. That's the best way to put it.
You need the experience from them too, so you don't want your characters to die here.
So Nickynoel has just picked up the crown. Basically, we sequence break here in every single version of the run, because you need to collect the crown to give to the evil elf who basically has stolen a crystal eye from someone. The way they intended it to be was you met up with Matoya in her cave, and she said, "Oh, someone's stolen my crystal eye, can you please go and get it?" So then you end up getting a ship to go and get it, and then you go to Elfheim and they say, "Oh, there's an evil king, elf king up north," or something like that. Or there's an elf king up north who's looking for help. So then you go up to Astos, basically, talk to him, and he's like, "Hey, can you help me get this crown?" We skip all of that. There's no need for that. There's no flags or anything that gets raised. We could just go and grab the crown and skip so much storyline here. So here we see Nikki almost getting out of Marsh Cave. There we go. So Nikki's now on her way up to Astos, it's a very interesting fight, because there's a very high chance of at least one of your characters flat out dying immediately. No, there's a chance for one of your characters to flat out die immediately because he has death. But we'll get onto that. We'll get onto that when we get there.
You also see Leonis entering the Marsh Cave. One of the things I don't think we mentioned about Marsh Cave is that it has an extremely compared to other dungeons in the game. In PSP, it's very common that you can go through that whole cave without getting an encounter, but the encounter rate is a little bit lowered in PSP compared to the other versions of the game.
Yeah. GBA, generally, you're looking to see maybe 2 or 3 encounters. 2 or 3 encounters in the Marsh Cave in GBA. Maybe sometimes more, sometimes less, but yeah. So we see Nikki seeing Nikki opting to fight this 2 ogre encounter. Generally, ogres at this point in the game give quite a good amount of gil and experience for how much effort it takes to kill them. So it's quite a good way of just sort of adding extra gil, extra experience. And we also see Nikki using a tent, but we also saw her shift her formation by putting the warrior in 4th place. It makes it less likely for the warrior to be hit by death. So if the warrior dies, then it makes the fight a lot more difficult. Someone is probably going to die in this fight, but the worst case scenario is going to be the warrior. And that's in my opinion, at least, because you build up the warrior using temper, and then the warrior ends up be needing to do the damage. But if you're building him up with temper, then he dies, you just lose all of that time. But luckily,
Yeah,
you saw
so-
a miss.
In theory, you also want your red mages alive because they have to be level 9 soon, and Estus gives a lot of experience.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I have grinded enough that I think I could have allowed that to not happen.
Mm.
Yeah, usually if death happens on anyone except a white mage, it's an instant save and reload.
Oh yeah, and Slowra on the Night Warrior can
Yeah.
also be pretty fun.
Yeah, luckily by having the knight in 4th place, Slower has a lot less of a chance to hit the warrior as well. It's very strange how spells like that work in this game, but it's something that we use to our advantage here and there and everywhere. So we also saw that Leo picked up the crown, but we also saw the death of one of his red mages, so unfortunately he had to use up his Phoenix Down that he picked up. Phoenix Downs they're quite expensive in the early game, and
Yeah,
you'll need them more
hopefully
often than not.
Yeah, hopefully I had 2 extra from the puzzle, so
Oh, nice. That's actually quite good.
I have plenty of Phoenix Downs for the Leech, for after Leech. Or for Astos if it casts Death, like first turn.
I guess that's one of the benefits to doing more puzzles in your case, is that you have a little bit more safety items now.
Yeah.
Plus, I think
Yeah.
I saw a Hermes shoes at
Yeah.
one point as well. So I'm
That's
guessing
true.
we're going to see haste strats on the Lich, which is going to be very interesting. Because I don't think I saw it on Nicky's stream, so we'll be able to see a contrast in 2 different strats for the same fight, which is going to be good.
No, after Astra Emergency Exit, I just went with World Record strats and went for Mega Elixir next turn.
What was your
Puzzle, and that was it.
what was your puzzle time for the Mega Elixir?
Not that good. It was solid, like 26 or something.
That's not too bad.
We
Yeah.
actually have 15 puzzle leaderboards on
Yep.
speedrun.com. Anybody can
Anyone can
submit
show
for it.
up and try and challenge me for my title of Ultimate 15 Puzzle Man.
How is your time on there?
My time is 18.33, so technically Chuck probably has the record, but he
Yeah.
hasn't submitted his time yet.
But Chocolator
That
needs
means
to submit.
I'm not really far from you.
Yeah, I think
22 seconds.
Well, I
second
can
place
tell you
is
that-
Leno with an 18.8
Mm-hmm.
something. So it's I mean it's a really fun category just to mess around with every now and again, and we would like to formally invite everyone watching right now, if they have the wherewithal to, hate themselves enough to try and run it, then 15 Puzzle is a fun little thing to do. So everyone's welcome to join. You don't have to have run FF1 before, just show up, do 15 Puzzle, leave. It's all fine.
So now that Astos is dead, Nicky is heading back to the ship. We're gonna go give the eye back to Matoya and continue along this fetch quest. Now that Nicky has a little bit more levels, electing to just straight out try and flee from the Sahagins makes a little bit more sense.
I usually do so every time, or even with low levels, but also there was not really an option. Trying to kill them all takes so long.
Yeah, if it's 3 or 4, it's one thing, but when there's 7 of them in one fight, it like stopping the
Yeah.
fight, it's just a huge time loss.
So here we see Leo popping up at Astos here. Just at the same time, Nicky is just talking to Matoya, but let's have another look at this Astos
Yay.
fight. Here we
Death
see
first turn.
first turn death. It's hitting the white mage though, so that's good.
Yeah,
well,
that's
it's hit
okay.
the white mage this time. It does mean though that the red mages and the warriors will gain actually
Oh,
a
come
little
on.
bit more experience. So, oh no.
Slower on the warrior is a
You
problem though.
serious? That's very
Well.
unlikely to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, when that happens, you have like every second or third time you get one hit, which
Mhm.
after some tempers you don't need that many hits anymore, but it still sucks.
You can see Temper's a bit like the raw power of Temper here. Just seeing it, Temper after Temper being stacked,
Oh,
because
I missed.
you could stack Tempers, and but we'll definitely, that means we'll be able to definitely see the change in the next round, actually. But
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
oh,
Yeah, well, why not? No, I need to reset because I need the level, actually.
yeah, I was
so-
going to say that's a very strong warrior right there. So basically, the
If a red
power
mage
of
dies,
Temper
they have the-
is it's quite good. Meanwhile, we see Nikki getting close to Mystic Key here. Here she's talking to the guy, the Prince of Elfheim, who is basically ill under a spell by Astos. So here we received the first split that is Mystic Key. Yeah.
Now that we have the Mystic Key, several doors throughout the world are now open. There's some in Astos' castle, which I do not believe we ever get. But there's
If you-
some here in the Elven Castle, and some in the Chaos
Better.
Shrine that open. Cornelia Castle also has some chests you can open. So
Hmm.
we're gonna get the ones that are on our way, which is here in the Elven Castle and some in Cornelia Castle.
Hmm. In a previous route for this run, we would actually backtrack to Astos' castle because there's an encounter there that, by using Fyra, you can basically kill the encounter in one go. And by doing that, you actually gain quite a significant amount of experience in Gil. So it
Oh,
it sets you up.
We used to
Quite
grind
some
on the
time.
spike tile there.
Yeah, we used to grind. Well,
yeah.
it
on the
wasn't
mummy.
something that I ever did, but between me running this and between the current route, it was a thing that everyone did for a while.
So I literally had the worst Astos and the best Astos I could get.
Yeah. It
That's
seemed
funny.
like it was definitely the worst Astos. I had an Astos similar to that last week. It was awful. So here we see Nikki buying a couple of bits and pieces, including some gold needles. Now, gold needles are going to be very important throughout the run. Basically, petrification happens as a random added status effect, similar to poison, similar to paralysis, similar to sleep, and in some awful cases, similar to instant death. And by having a couple of gold needles handy, we're able to just, anytime that anyone gets petrified, we can just be like, bang. Because petrification and death are the only two status effects that carry over. Because obviously if someone dies, they die. And then if they're petrified, that gets carried over outside of the fight as well. And poison, sorry, I said two. But also poison.
Not only
So-
does Petrify make your character useless, but you also gain no experience. So if you're trying to grind, that's a big problem.
Mm.
Also,
Mhm.
the enemies that do petrify you, it's not a spell. It's a chance to hit, and it's cockatrices that do it. So whenever you see them, there should be a big spam of RPG Jerkbird, because
There are
they're
also
definitely
some
the Jerkbird
enemies
of
that
this
can
game.
use gaze.
Yeah,
the petrifying gaze.
Medusas, aye.
Medusa's and Basilisks. And I heard Evil Eye if you fight him long enough.
Here we see Nikki leaving Cornelia again, and now she's heading to hang out with some dwarfs. Because dwarfs are basically known to be miners. And, yeah, we need to get past we need to basically destroy part of the earth in order to make a new canal to ride our boat through, essentially. So, yeah. That's basically the plan here. Is we're gonna blow up We're going to basically get rid of Mother Nature, essentially.
Basically, the whole entire beginning of the game is just one big fetch quest to be able to access the larger world.
Yeah, everything is pretty much you're entirely self-contained up until this moment, and until when we actually get the when we actually hand over the explosive powder known as, it goes by a number of different names like nitro powder. I think some of them even just call it TNT. But once you get the nitro powder, basically we give it to a dwarf and he makes a massive hole in the ground that fills it with water so you can drive your boat through it.
One really interesting thing about this game is that there's a sequence of events that you have to do, and this whole beginning of the game you have to do it in order. There's no way around it. And then once you kill the first fiend Lich, the game becomes a little bit open-ended. There's multiple orders that you can do things, and that's where some of the routes diverge. Like GBA does dungeons in a different order than PSP, just for version differences. But essentially, like, the only required thing before all the open-ended stuff happens is that you have to beat Lich to get the canoe, and then after that there's several options you can do.
Like in the PSP you finish with Marilith, instead of GBA you begin with Marilith.
Yeah, but I think that just comes from the route change that on PSP you don't need to go to Citadel first.
That's something actually I've started to adopt in PSX as well. As I've started to do Citadel after getting the Levy Stone and everything, because I'll tend to be a lot higher level and things tend to be a lot better at that point. So
Yeah, it would depend if you grind on Evil Eyes. Like, you need the Ice Brand, you just need the Ice Brand to properly grind Evil Eyes later on.
Yeah, what the game expects you to do is after you beat Lich, you get the canoe, and then you're supposed to canoe to Mount Gulg and kill Marilith, but, you know, we like to do things in a different order.
There's just a massively long canoe maze that you have to follow, go around loads of twists and bends, loads of false turns that try and trap you, give you dead ends, and then you finally reach the volcano. But instead we just fly over all that, really, and just land at the door. It's great. So here we see that Nikki has made a canal that she drives through. We also see a small whirlpool above Nikki. There is a bonus dungeon that's exclusive to the GBA and PSP/mobile/iOS versions of the game, where there are 4 secret dungeons in most of them, and then in PSP onwards there's actually a 5th one. And we don't go into them at all in this run. There are runs where we do, such as all bosses for GBA, all bosses PSP, all bestiary for PSP and GBA. So in other runs that you can check out, you can definitely visit these extra dungeons, and each dungeon is quite unique. Meanwhile, there's Leonis just getting the Mystic Key here, so that should be the first split for Team Mark.
There you go.
Don't worry,
Interestingly enough,
Jonas, you will be catching up a lot because my red mages don't look good.
Yeah, just I'm
Interestingly
having
enough,
only ogres on the way, so should be helpful.
Yeah, you did a lot of
Battles, yeah.
The All Monks percent actually requires you to go into the bonus dungeons because you need extra healing, because monks can't heal at all.
Yeah, you need to get the rune staff, but you need to get multiple rune staffs. So you have to go into the FF6 bonus dungeon, which, by the way, each of the bonus dungeons is associated with a game from FF3 to FF6, where it will have a number of different bosses from each of those games. And then you have to actually, in order to beat all of those bosses, you have to do the dungeons multiple times. It's very, very odd. But one of the bosses in the FF6 dungeon, which is the only one you don't have to repeat at all, is Ultros, the most amazing squid, prince of everything that is squid. in the universe, and he always drops a rune staff which casts Hilara. So by beating him, I think it's twice, is it, that he gets beaten in monk percent?
Yeah, you have to kill him twice.
You have to kill him twice to get 2 rune staffs. Unfortunately, because of the monk's complete and total inability to equip weapons, we can't actually duplicate it. So we have to do it multiple times, which is really annoying.
Yeah.
So Nicky's in the Cavern of Earth now, about to hit the 3rd floor, and the 3rd floor is where this place starts getting dangerous.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
So one of the first things that we're getting introduced here to is unrunnable encounters. The Pisco demons we fought back in the Marsh Cave now show up as regular encounters, and they have a flag that prevents you from running away, so you actually have to kill them. And the other nasty encounter in here is the Cockatrice, which has a chance to petrify on hit.
The one of the many iterations on the PSP route is that we once upon a time used to use the equipment glitch on the Coral Sword in order to get Gaia gear, which prevents petrification, because it meant that we didn't have to go into Elfheim, we didn't have to buy gold needles, so we didn't have to make any extra trips. But then we realized that it had a massive effect on our ability to escape encounters generally. So by lowering our ability to escape just to make it safer, we were losing quite a bit of time. So that, unfortunately, was removed from the route.
And it's worth it just to get lucky and not get petrified.
Yeah. Mm. Like, it's a very good safe strat to get the Gaia gear, but then with FF1, PSP, and GBA, you couldn't save anywhere. So, generally speaking, everything's a safe strat. So there's not really much point to it. Sorry, what were you saying?
You can see with Nicky's luck right now why the emergency exit is so important. Because if you get just encounters of Pisco demons after Pisco demons on the way out of here, having the emergency exit just skips all that. Now you can get lucky,
that's something
of
you'll
course.
be able to see with me.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get lucky, of course, on the way out. Like in PSP, you just have to pray that you get good encounter luck. But in GBA, having the emergency exit just saves you so much time because you don't have to worry about getting unrunnable encounters and having to deal with undead monsters.
True.
Speaking of undead monsters, though, here's Nicky was just in a undead encounter. We saw her trying to escape with only the warrior, but was also queuing up magic spells with the red mages and the white mage, because it's generally a lot safer to do that than it is to try and run away with all of them, because it completely reduces any chance of being paralocked. Well, it reduces any chance. It doesn't completely prevent it, but it reduces it quite a lot. Sorry, Leo, I interrupted you then. What were you saying, man?
Yeah, we were stating with Nicky that having emergency exit was sort of bad luck for the run, so we'll see.
Yeah, that was generally the idea with PSP runs, is that most of the time, whenever anyone got a emergency exit in a PSP run, i.e. pretty much me, because I was the only one at the time that would do it in a race, I'd then proceed to have the worst luck known to man, so this could still go either way. The RNG in this game has such a massive effect on the run. Here we see Vampire, where Vampire is basically one of the first, or he's not really one of the first, but he's another instance of a fight being considered a boss fight, and then later on, when you see them again, they're actually just a random encounter. As is with every vampire, set them on fire, show them the sun, they'll die. Maybe give them some garlic bread, and they might, just like choke on it or something. All sorts of things you can do. And after Nicky has beaten the vampire, she's picked up the Star Ruby. Now this is where the emergency exit comes into play. Yeah. She's currently healing up, but she's going to also use the emergency exit, and bang, she is outside the front of the dungeon, the entire dungeon. In Leo's case that we're gonna see later on, since he doesn't have an emergency exit, he's gonna have to track through every floor again, which also means he's going to have to deal with all of the extra
Encounters, yeah.
possibilities for undead encounters, for inescapable encounters. Yeah. Here we are in the Giant's Cave, where there's it's generally easy enough to get no encounters. In my experience, you either get no encounters or you just get like 6, even though it's like the shortest dungeon technically. And we basically all we do here is we give the Star Ruby to the Giant, and that's basically what we went to get from the Cavern of Earth the first time around. So now that we've done that, we are heading to the Sage's Cave in order to pick up a Earth Rod, where we can move the Earth. We do a lot of damage to Mother Nature in this run. We just sort of, just like, oh, there's like a massive bit of land there? Not anymore. Oh wait, hang on a second. Are you basically sealing off a demon that really should not see the light of day with all of this mud? Well, not anymore.
Not anymore. You have a rod.
So at this point, Nicky is heading back to the Cavern of Earth. Meanwhile, Leo is heading to the Cavern of Earth for the first time. Shadows. That's a good point. Shadows are weird encounters. They are, in this version, they're always going to be preemptive or ambushes. In PSX and NES, they're always ambushes, but in GBA and PSP, they're either ambushes or preemptives. I think it's like a 1 in 8 chance of being an ambush as well. So generally speaking, it's normally a preemptive every time with the occasional ambush.
Mm-hmm.
So they're quite handy for that. But if you get ambushed, it's not the end of the world. They're actually one of the few undead enemies that doesn't paralyze you, and they don't hit very hard either. They just sort of cause darkness, which if you're just trying to run away, has no impact. So it's quite a nice low risk encounter.
They have low HP either, so...
Remember, ladies and gentlemen, make sure that you tweet about this event using hashtag #FFRelay. Hashtag #FFRelay. Make sure you spread the word, and yeah.
Let's go!
Right, so here we see... Oh, that was a really nice run of no encounters just then.
Yeah.
Here we see Leo on the 3rd floor of Cavern of Earth. You're saving everywhere, I like it. So, at the moment, he's actually, by the look of it, saving quite a bit of time on Nicky already, like, based on comparing their floor 3s. Because at the moment, I think Nicky had, like, 3 or so encounters at this point in floor 3. But by saving quite often, he's actually able to just reload a save every time he hits an encounter that's bad. Which, it's a fair enough strategy.
Yeah.
Would you rather fight encounters or not? It's basically that.
Yeah. This one could be troublesome.
I think I would have reset for that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if someone can flee, actually.
Yeah. I think if it was an ambush, definitely immediate reset, especially since there's 9 of them.
Yeah.
Poison is a very strange thing across the FF1 games. In FF1 NES, and then also in FF1 PSX, the damage that poison does to your characters remains the same as it does through the other versions, but the damage to your eyesight is completely different, because at every step you take when you're poisoned in GBA, PSP and all that, the sprite of your character just sort of fades in and out of like a light green colour. But in the PSX version, bang, flashes of green every step you take. Oh, this is ugly. This is very ugly.
Yeah.
Did you save before this?
No. I was lucky enough then.
Did you end up getting quite a few gold needles from 50 puzzle?
Yeah,
It looks
I got
like,
two extra.
That's not too bad at all. So here we see Nicky opting to kill this Wraith encounter. Generally speaking, Wraiths are part of the family of enemies that can paralyze you just for looking at you funny. Or just for looking at them funny. So, yeah. We also see Vampire making its triumphant return to our screens.
Yeah, and goes bonk.
Have you got a Phoenix down for him?
Yeah.
Alright, that's good. If you don't have a Phoenix down at this point, which is the case with PSX, anyone dying is just catastrophic.
Oh, paralyzing the one I was about to use the Phoenix down. Nice.
I think. Yeah, I got kidnapped, sorry. Anyway, essentially, the experience for Red Mages is important to the point where one of them has to get to, I think it's level 21 to get teleport? Is it?
22, yeah, 21, 22.
Hmm.
Okay, the way back.
So, yeah.
Whoopsie. So this is the moment where you see if the RNG is on your side or not. I'm gonna try and save as much as I can.
Yeah. It's definitely worth saving as often as possible with this run. Just because generally RNG just doesn't like any of us.
Yeah, totally. Like 2 Pisca Demons encounter already. Nice.
So, by the looks of it, we're probably going to see what for many years of running Final Fantasy 1, except what I thought for all of the runs except for PSP was the absolute holy grail of speedrunning this game. And that is a sub-1 Lich split. I always thought that it was impossible for a very long time. And then Nicky showed up and completely proved me wrong in like the most fantastic way possible. The closest I'd ever
Yeah.
seen to a Lich split was like an offline practice run where I died to Lich at like the 58th minute, and I was like, this is sad.
But I will probably
so
die
sad.
a lot because my red mages are both awful.
Yeah, I've noticed that generally speaking, Leo is getting quite good luck for red mages in terms of his HP gains, but
Yeah.
not so much with your Sneaky, I'm afraid.
Also,
I think-
Rory. World record has 103, 29 Citadel.
That's
Just
disgusting.
talking about disgusting times.
don't even do this to me. How could you? Oh, there's Lazara and Rip, both red mages for Nikki.
Oh,
Lazara
rip Nicky.
is quite
The
bad.
run killer. Yeah.
And then also with sleep immediately, yeah, Nikki, that was probably a good idea. That reset, that was probably a good idea.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he just crits more often, but I see higher damage rolls usually on the knight on the bottom position. But apparently the 200, almost 300 damage were a crit, so yeah.
Right, outside the cave.
Nice. Eesh.
I didn't lose too much time, honestly, considering not having the emergency exit.
Nikki, if you have to reset again, which I'm gonna assume that you're gonna have to, move a couple of steps before talking to Lich, because that slightly changes the RNG you're gonna get.
Yeah, I usually just wait a bit. Because yes, hit the same frame is a thing in this game.
It is entirely possible to, like, task this game to within an inch of its life, I think, but yeah.
But maybe moving will help because, yeah, the Blizzaras are just so close to each other. Also talking sick, World Record had a level 12 200 HP red mage that time.
I totally remember that. Like, I was saying to you that it will be very tricky, and you just did it, so...
Oh, and Blazara again. This time, I think that was a couple of turns, though, at least. So Tempo
was
should be
just
doing more
3 of them.
damage. Yeah. I think a couple of good turns, you should be... I think maybe you should be able to kill, but it's just all of that experience is going to go to the knight, which isn't ideal.
Was close, with good damage rolls one more turn. But yeah, that's just the downside of the route. If your red mages both are low, it can cost so much time.
Yeah, having low max HP on your red mages is a bit of a killer with this run, unfortunately. It's the same with PSP as well. We used to not have to worry about it with PSP because the original route from years and years ago that Lenofis developed was it required the use of I think it's Dragon Mail. So by having Dragon Mail, all elemental damage is like taken down by a significant amount, and we had like 3 of them equipped to everyone, and it just Ooh. So at this point, Lich is is not having a fun, or not giving Nikki a fun time. So we're actually seeing Leo start to catch up quite a good amount as well.
Unfortunately, I get any Minotaur. With a bit of luck, one more level could have been a lot.
Oh, I don't like that ambush at all.
Yeah, that doesn't look like a fun. Oh, one.
I think I didn't save either.
At least it did half of your party. So as long as one of them gets a turn off, You should be fine.
Okay, I still have my weight mage. That's okay.
Yeah. And Diara should take them out
Yeah.
relatively easily as well.
Oh, okay.
This looks like identical RNG to last time. It looks like identical damage rolls as well.
No, it's far different.
Yes! There we go. There's Lich.
Nice. Good job.
Nice one.
Hardest was in the game done.
True.
Oh man. I was so close to a sub 1 as well.
Yeah.
I'm still impressed at that time. That's a good time.
Well, my last PB does have like a 1 hour and 39 seconds at Lich, so very close for from sub 1 too. Yeah.
Gargoyles are not so much a bad encounter. Well, I mean, they're pretty bad encounter. They tend to be generally hard to run away from, but they don't
Especially
do
when they
too
are
much in
a lot.
damage. Yeah, especially if you get ones like the 9 encounter ones as well.
Well, I don't mind an extra level up, so
Yeah, at this point, extra levels are nice. Just because if you're a higher level, then that means you've had more opportunities to get more HP. So
Yeah.
Like
Gargoyles
usually
are really
I'm level
nice for
30,
experience.
But I had the emergency exit, so less encounters, and I didn't get a single Minotaur encounter, which we usually get in Ice Cave and for the most experience.
yeah, I only got 2 Minotaurs encounter. I'm only getting Wraith, so
So after defeating Lich, Nicky is now on the way to Crescent Lake. We need to go there to pick up the canoe, which allows us access to a much larger part of the world, as well as there's going to be a little bit of shopping to be done there.
On my side, it looked like both of you saved at the exact same time, like button press for button press. That was quite good.
I saw 2 resets at the same time too.
we are on sync. Well, not at the same place, but still.
A lot of the enemies around Crescent Lake like to inflict poison. It's not too big a deal if you have antidotes, but it can be a time loss going into the menu to heal it.
Normally for me, if I'm in PSP runs, we normally have tons and tons of Phoenix Downs. So if like 1 person or 2 people get poisoned, I'm generally more inclined to just not bother healing it, and then if they die during a random encounter, I'll easily be able to revive them. So,
In PSP2, you want your characters to be at lower health for grinding, especially your warrior and your thief. So if you get poisoned, that's actually helpful if you were in the situation where you had too much HP. It's like the one place in the game where you actually don't mind if you get poisoned in PSP.
Oh,
but,
definitely.
But here, you want to be at full health as much as possible.
Even though there are strats when it comes to the grind fight that comes up later on, even though there are strats that basically involve having one of your characters dead, or one or two of your red mages dead, for instance, generally it's better to have them all at full health, because the damage you do is nowhere near as much as it is in PSP. The amount of damage you do in PSP is just unreal, because you have the strongest weapons in the game. So it's a lot easier, or it's a lot easier to grind in FF1 PSP if you have to, than it is in PSX, or in GBA, sorry.
It's also a lot riskier to go through Cavern of Ice with low HP on the other versions, because that place is probably the most dangerous place in the game.
And there's Nicky collecting the canoe, which is useful for just a lot of things, really, like rowing and rowing. But we can also use it to actually park the ship at places that aren't proper ports as well, which is actually quite a neat little thing, because you can actually go. You can't park the ship right on land. You can't land on land in this game. You have to land at a port. But it means that you can also park the ship wherever you can go immediately into the canoe. So it's quite a neat little thing. It also means that it makes some places that are otherwise impossible to get to, possible to get to. Like the Citadel, you can't actually park your ship anywhere near the Citadel and be able to walk without the canoe. But you can easily do that with both.
Another interesting thing is that, like I mentioned earlier, we're about to start sequence breaking. The game originally intends for you to pick up the canoe and then head to Mount Gulg and kill Merilith. The NPC's text surmises as much, but what we're going to do is we're going to do things in a little bit of a different order. Now that we have the canoe, we're going to go straight to the Citadel and get the Rat's Tail, which allows us to upgrade our classes. And this gives us a bunch of benefits, like access to better spells and better stat growths and such things.
Nicky, did you just go around the world going right instead of left?
Yes, it's faster.
Is it?
Yes.
Huh. Learn something new every day, boys and girls. The more you know.
When I first learned the game, I actually used to go up from Crescent Lake to get to Citadel, which is just as long as going around to the left.
Yeah, almost. I timed it. It's a bit faster this way. Like even to Ice Cave then. We'll go the same way and back up a bit, but not by much.
Ooh. It would probably be faster to go down, though, to Ice Cave, wouldn't it?
No.
No, it's actually not. I timed it because originally Gaia went down. And it's like 5 to 10 seconds.
Yeah, I had the same issue in PSP when I learned PSP, because we're actually leaving from the Ice Cave to get to Citadel in that run, and it's faster to go down instead of up.
I'm prepared to die. Actually, I can have one raid mage surviving Blizzara out of the two.
Nice. This should be a quite easy fight as well, because you've also got Hermes Sandals, which is a massive boost.
Yeah, it makes the first fight mage turn not completely useless.
So for those of you who don't know, Hermes Sandals is an item that when you use it casts haste on a character, which is helpful because I don't believe we have the spell haste at this point in the game.
Nope.
So that basically what haste does is it doubles the amount of attacks that you can do in one round, effectively doubling your damage. So you can see in the first round the warrior is already doing 300 damage to Lich. Unfortunately, that Blizzara did a high damage roll and both the red mages died, but there's really not much you can do about that.
No.
Also, on Nicky's end, she just finished the part of Citadel of Trials that I like to call Sabrina's Gym from Pokemon.
So this is something you don't want to see happening. Having slip round on the warrior.
Yeah.
Split.
Luckily, he was nice and physical attacked the warrior right after to wake him up.
Yeah. That was Lich first try.
Nice.
So the nightmare encounter that Nicky fought is it's a spike tile. There are certain tiles in the game that have forced encounters, and we're going to be abusing one in a little bit in the ice cave, where there's a monster that gives a lot of experience, and we just walk back and forth to force an encounter on that same tile. But here in the Citadel of Trials, there's 2 spike tiles on the 3rd floor. One of them has the nightmares, and one of them has a dragon zombie. You'll see the dragon zombie on the way out. It's the tile right in front of the throne has a forced dragon zombie encounter on it.
There's actually a third, but fortunately we don't need to go through there, and it's
Yes, there's
something
a
unnecessary anyway.
yeah. There's a third spike tile guarding a gauntlets chest on the 2nd floor, which doesn't really matter because there's a gauntlets chest on the 3rd floor you can just pick up anyway.
And fun part, these are actually connected. You can only get one gauntlet. If you open one chest, then the other one will be opened also.
So here we have mummies. They're another undead that like to sleep you instead of paralyze, which is helpful. I mean, being asleep is not necessarily the best, but it's definitely a little better than paralyze.
Yeah, I think sleep is if I remember someone telling me once upon a time that sleep, yeah, so much of my knowledge comes from random people saying things in my chat every now and again. The one thing I think is a thing is that sleep is easier to escape from than paralysis is.
Yeah, but
because
both can
you
stay.
still get the chance to be awakened, so yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, you have a
easy-
higher
it's
chance
easier
to break out of
waken up.
sleep.
Yeah, I think that's something.
But not only do you have a higher chance to break out of sleep, but if you get physical attacked, it wakes you up. So
Yeah.
there's that on top of it.
Mm.
So we got a rat's tail from the Citadel of Trials, and I don't know, for whatever reason, the Dragon King Bahamut decides that the measure of strength for him is a rat's tail. That proves that you are a strong warrior. So we picked that up so we can go prove to him that we are mighty, and he'll upgrade our classes for us.
There's a similar thing in FF4 as well. So it's like a recurring theme, and I have no idea why. It just makes no sense.
Well,
There
I
are
don't
always-
think it has to do with the item, but rather the path you had to go through to actually get it. Like-
yeah.
With the noun Citadel of Trials and stuff.
I feel like I understand the process not, but it's just, why is it a rat's tail? Why can't it be,
Yeah, I don't know.
here's a scroll that foretold that 4 warriors of light, you know, something like that. But no, it's just the tail of a rat that's kept in a box.
Because if FF12 has taught me anything, it's that you are strong once you kill some sewer rats.
Yeah, true.
I've killed some rats, now let's go hunt some monsters.
Yep, and the next thing to do is hunt tomatoes.
So on Nicky's side, we're going through this canoe river maze to get to the Cavern of Ice, which is, in my opinion, the most dangerous place in the run.
Oh, it's
There's
awful.
just
Yeah.
there's just so many encounters here that you don't want to see. The place is full of undead. The rare encounters are extremely deadly. You can encounter, there's a 1 in 64 chance to encounter white dragons, which are extremely deadly. Dark wizards here are also extremely deadly.
Dark Wizards are just the worst.
Dark Wizards like to spam Firaga, and that just, it decimates you.
Well, fortunately, usually they are preemptive.
Yeah, more often than not, Dark Wizards are preemptors, which are nice. But every now and again, you get an ambush.
Yeah. I experienced that.
It's just...
Oh yes, and as you can see, the RPG Jerkbirds are back in this particular dungeon.
RPG Jerkbird.
I don't know if we actually mentioned it in the Cavern of Earth when we were talking about cockatrices, but the one thing with Petrify is that because it's essentially a KO, if your entire party gets petrified during a fight, it's basically a game over. There's nothing you can do about it. So if you get ambushed by cockatrices and they petrify all 4 of your characters, then it's RIP.
Mm. Here we have another example of an undead encounter. Spectres are able to paralyze you as well, which is not great.
A lot of the undead in Cavern of Ice also have really high agility, so it's harder to run away from them. It's a little bit easier in GBA than it is in PSP because we're much lower level, but it's still incredibly difficult to run away from undead monsters here. Which is
Well,
why
right now you are not
see-
even lower level, really, in PSP.
Mm.
That's only after the grind when GBA really has more level.
You can see Nicky is electing to just kill them, which is an advantage that the GBA route has over the PSP route, is you have spells that are actually capable of dealing damage to these guys.
Mm. Well, I mean, you have things like the Judgment Staff in PSP, so you can use the Judgment Staff, which should wipe everything. I think the only encounter that doesn't wipe with a low-level party is one that's like Minotaur zombie trolls.
Yeah, the only problem with using Judgment Staffs is that the animation is super long. Like you look at the
so long.
you look at the fire animation that we're using to kill the undead here takes about 2 seconds, whereas in PSP the Judgment Staff flare animation is about 8 to 9 seconds long.
Hopefully
it just
we
eats
won't
up
get
so
to-
much time.
Yeah, hopefully we won't get to see that today. I'm looking at you, Lich. I'm looking at you.
Oh yes, during the refights, you have to refight all 4 of the Fiend bosses at the end of the game, and when you fight Lich for the second time, he's upgraded his Blizzara to Flare, and it's incredibly
Totally
annoying.
logic. Like, you thought the first Lich was very nice, you totally didn't see the second one.
Mm-hmm.
I had a run where Lich just used first turn Flare, second turn Warp, third turn Kill, fourth turn it was the paralyzing stuff, fifth turn it was Fire Aura or something. It was completely awful.
Also, just for reference, compared to BB, I was 8 minutes behind at Citadel, and the world record was 8 minutes ahead at Citadel compared to the world record before, so still everything is possible because this is FF1.
Yeah, the difference between the current world record and the previous world record is, I think, what, a minute and a half, did you say?
Yeah, because in the second hour it was just awful. And lost all those, no, 7 of the 8 minutes.
So here's another enemy that we neglected to mention was in here, the Mind Flare, and
Oh,
their
no.
Mind Blast is just absolutely nasty. It can paralyze your entire party in one shot. It's an AoE paralysis attack. And not only that, but their physical attack has a chance to instant KO on hit, which is like they can just wipe your party in very, very quickly.
The very funny thing about it is like they can hit you, you see 1 damage, you're like haha solo, and your character just fall dead, and you're like, okay, why not? Talking about mind flayers.
Mind flayers are the worst thing. They're not bad to run away from, though. Like, they're escapable, which is nice. But...
Yeah.
Ah, yes. Evil Eye, my old friend.
So
My
like I
old
mentioned
enemy.
in Citadel, there are spike tiles, and this Evil Eye encounter is one of them. This particular tile that we fought the Evil Eye on is a forced encounter, so we're gonna stop here and we're gonna grind some levels that we need to finish the game and learn some spells. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna walk back and forth on this tile and repeatedly fight the Evil Eye because it gives a massive amount of experience.
We're also going to be saving every now and again, purely because on the tile that we walk on that isn't the spike tile, in order to walk back, it's possible for us to get a random encounter anyway.
Yeah.
And if that happens at an inopportune
Can
time,
be an ambush.
then... And it can be an ambush, it could be a Mind Flayer ambush, so you could just die, and it's not great. Ooh, one of the red mages is dead. Ooh, are you only putting one of the red mages up to 21?
Yeah, that red mage will go up to the end because I need him to kill the Evil Eye.
Ah, okay.
But yes, the other one will just stay dead.
Yeah, during this grind fight, you want the red mage with the most HP to get more levels. So we look at both the mages and just look at which one has the most HP and then grind that one more.
Yeah. Normally, we normally only really use 3 characters for Chaos in the Chaos Shrine, in my experience. It's just...
No, I actually use all 4. And the point is that the good part is because why I kill off the lower one is that he will get more levels as a red wizard. And like
that's
in
true.
the World Wreckage run, the only one where I practice this strat, I mentioned I had a 200 HP red mage, I also had a 100 HP mage, so the absolute worst. And as a red wizard he still caught up and had like 340 against Chaos, which is more than enough.
Yeah, after you class change, your stat growths get a little bit bigger at level up. They're still random, but the chance of getting higher growths is increased once you do the class change.
Oh, I've just got it. I just understood. I feel ashamed that it took me so long to understand why.
What happened?
No, I was wondering why we're only grinding one of the red mages already. But now he'll get his stat growth will be greater when he's a red wizard. So, yeah, I am not a smart man.
Originally I wanted the other red mage to at least learn Pyraga, but the difference between 30 and 2nd tier spells was actually not that big. So we don't actually need it.
You learn something new every day, Rory?
Mm-hmm. The more you know, .gif.
So on Leonis' side, just finished the Citadel of Trials and he is on his way to the Ice Cave to do his grinding as well.
Yay!
I'm going to be back in a couple of minutes. I shall see you folks in a bit.
Okay.
So what we're doing here is we're grinding. We want the White Mage to be level 31. There's some spells that we need at level 33 that we can only learn them at level 33. But we get enough experience before we actually have to buy the spells that just grinding to 31 is only necessary.
So how's the level up going, Nikki?
Don't know. Evil, I
You
get
don't
quite a
know.
lot of turns off, but I didn't
Uh-huh.
get a random encounter yet, so it's
Okay.
decent. And I didn't have a problem killing off the red mage.
Nice.
Because, yeah, I didn't one round him in the second fight, and so he just casted Sandara and he died.
Yeah. Okay.
Evil Eye decided to play nice.
Yeah, killing off the red mage can actually be quite a lot of trouble, especially if you want to kill him off later.
That's another of the big differences between the PSP and the GBA runs, is because the PSP version has a defend option and the GBA doesn't. When we do get to this point in PSP where we grind, we don't grind as long, but we do grind here. We can just spam defend until he uses Thundara. You don't really have that option here. You kind of have to pray that he uses it rather quickly.
Yeah. Or if you're lucky enough, you can have one of your red mages die even before Evil Eye, and you can take some nice time saved by just going with 3 characters. Then you kill the red mage you have, and you try to level up a bit more the one that was dead just before the end. Okay. This was bad.
As you can see, now that we've got some levels, Evil Eye is becoming a little bit easier. We're outspeeding the Evil Eye now, and we're able to kill it in one hit. It makes the grinding speed up a little bit. Although sometimes you get low damage rolls and you have to do 2 attacks. At least we're still outspeeding it, so it's not getting turns off.
Yeah, it's kinda random, but he rarely gets to turn off. Like, speed is not something absolute as you might know it from FF10.
Also, I don't know if you guys noticed, you'll see it on Leonis' side very soon. There was an item that we picked up, a key item, on the tile right above where the Evil Eye is. And it's a levy stone, and what that does is it allows us to go pick up the airship. And we'll be doing that as soon as we're done grinding on the Evil Eye.
Hey, I just want to pop in real quick and say, you guys are doing a great job on the commentary, the runners. It's beautiful so far, very enjoyable watch. So keep it up. I just want to throw out to. You're welcome. I just want to throw out to the chat right now, ladies and gentlemen, if you are watching and you are enjoying the Final Fantasy Relay, why don't you shout us out on Twitter using the hashtag FFRelay? There could be some hype over there. Let's get that trending, shall we? And I also want to give a special shout out to Oasis, who set up the RTMP server and is letting us stream off of it. Thank you very much for that. Puexel, obviously, for letting us stream on the RPG Limit Break channel, and Nerm for some behind-the-scenes work. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Seven.
You're welcome.
While I'm at it, I'd also
So-
like to give a big shout out to RoryExtraLife, Seven Sins, Seraph, and Maelstrom for helping organize this amazing relay.
Yeah,
It's
really amazing.
It's mostly Maelstrom. It's mostly Maelstrom. Go follow him. Follow him now. Good luck, boys
Thank
and
you.
girl. Sorry.
So here we got a Spectre ambush. Were you still grinding,
right
Nikki?
right before the probably last evil eye.
Because we only have 3 characters alive, the chance to become paralocked is a little bit greater. But luckily, they're all focusing on the warrior right now.
Yeah, and with a higher level, the chances of being paralyzed is lower. Yeah, there's level 31 without the evil eye, but we'll just kill it. Won't hurt.
On Leona's Society, got the Ice Gigas Winterwolf encounter, which is one of the nastier encounters here. It's unrunnable.
Yeah, I forgot about that, and I tried to run, and I was like, oh.
Not only is it unrunnable, but they have an AoE ice attack that is particularly nasty. There's another one. If I remember correctly, they're 1 in 64, so it's a rare encounter here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it also gives some nice experience.
Right. Is there a spike tile somewhere?
No, it's not a spike tile. Just move back 1 tile and move back up to change the RNG. So Leonis got lucky as only a 4 encounter on the undead spike tile when you're dropping down. A good strategy for that tile is, because you can get ambushed on that tile and it's particularly nasty, you just save before dropping down, and then if you get ambushed, just reload and hit the spike tile again.
There's also a chance that you can flee, but it's very, very hard.
Also, it would be awesome to have an emergency exit for this place.
Yeah.
Because getting out of here also takes like... I've counted it once, it was 2.5 minutes, and I will definitely take more than 2.5 this time.
Leonis getting super unlucky with the 1 in 64 random encounters. He got, not only did he get the Ice Gigas Winterwolf, but he found a white dragon as well.
Yay! Well, he was alone, so that wasn't too much of a big deal. I have the gauntlet.
In GBA, getting the white dragon isn't as scary because you have a little bit more HP to deal with. You don't have characters you're trying to kill off like in the PSP version, but they're still extremely deadly. Their Ice Storm attack does a lot of damage. Unlike the white dragon is actually, interestingly enough, different from the rest of the dragons in the game, where it doesn't have an unrunnable flag, so you can run from the white dragons, but it's extremely difficult earlier in the run, and they're very dangerous, so you might as well just treat them like an unrunnable encounter and just kill them if you want to be safe. So on Nikki's end, she's done grinding, and now it's time to progress the story a little bit. One of the first things we're going to be doing is grabbing the airship, which will allow us access to all of the world. There's nowhere we can't go now. On the flip side, Leonis is just about ready to start his grinding. So here in the desert, the runner gets a very small but quick break as we watch the airship slowly rise out of the sand.
And I'm back.
Welcome back.
Welcome back, Rory. So yeah, there's a rather large distance between the two runners right now, but this is FF1 and anything can change at any time, especially in the last half of the run. The RNG is a huge factor in this game.
What I was looking for just happened.
Nice. Here, meanwhile, we see Nikki is going to pick up Haste for both of her red mages. Haste is what we saw Leo getting to use with the Hermes shoes against Lich, but as a spell you can use it on any fight now rather than having to have the item for it.
Yeah, at this point in the run, it's we're taking a break from continuing with the quest to do a little bit of shopping, in which we need to set up for the rest of the run. Now we're going into the Dragon Caves to give Bahamut the rat's tail we picked up earlier. This will allow us class change. Now the class change is important because there's some spells in the game that you cannot learn unless you actually have the class change. So that's one of the reasons for going to get the class change, as well as you get better stat growth after doing it.
So during this little bit of quiet time, I just want to let you guys know that we may have just broken 2,000 viewers.
Ooh.
Get hype.
Nice. That's unusual for FF1.
Yeah.
But that's cool. That's very cool.
Mm-hmm.
So after leaving the Dragon Caves, the next thing Nikki will be doing is heading to the Desert Caravan. There's a bottled fairy that you need to buy there to progress with the story, but the caravan owner also sells some really good items that we're going to need for the run, specifically Giant's Tonics and Speed Drinks. What Giant's Tonics do is they they increase your maximum HP by 200 during one fight. So that the effect wears off after the battle, but it's very useful for that fight that you use it in, as well as buying 11 speed drinks, which increase your agility. And one of the things with agility in this game is that the more speed you have, the more hits that you do physically with an attack. So that actually increases the amount of damage you do.
It's useful because eventually, when you use Temper over and over again, as well as using Saber that we'll be using with an item that we're going to be picking up in the next Fiend dungeon, we are actually... there's a limit to how many times you can use Saber, or how many times you can use the stacking effects of Temper before it doesn't do anything. At which point, using speed drinks to increase the amount of times we hit per turn, the increase in damage is phenomenal at that point. And we see Faraga and Teleport being bought by Nikki. Also, Nikki, you bought Blizzara as well, I think, when you bought Haste?
Yeah, for the water elementals later. With the low levels it doesn't work as well, but you don't want to not.
Yeah.
That's a newer strat. Well, it's not new, but it's a strat I've adopted in PSP as well. But not with the spells. I pick up the gauntlets and the black robe to cast Thundara Blizzara.
Yeah, we do the same thing in PSX. I originally didn't find any use for the black robe though when I first started learning it, but then eventually realized, hang on a second, this is actually good for the water elementals, like you said.
Yeah, the water dungeon, Sunken Shrine, it can be very trolly because the encounters aren't dangerous there like they are in the ice cave, but there are a lot of unrunnables and they come in rather large packs. So you need a way to kill them very quickly.
Yeah.
Otherwise you're going to be wasting a lot of time. Specifically the ghost encounters, the water elementals, and the Sahagan Prince and Chief encounters are flagged as unrunnable, so you need to find a way to kill them. Also, on Nikki's side, you'll see she's in Mount Gulg. One of the interesting things about this dungeon is that the lava tiles do not have any encounters on them. So while you do take damage every time you step on the lava tile, that is preferable to getting encounters. So you'll see us try and walk on as much of the lava as humanly possible.
The scenario where you get an encounter just before going back to the evil eye tile.
Wow, that was an incredible Mount Golg on Nicky's end. I think it was 2 encounters.
Wow.
It was 3. This is the third now, and the first was quite awful, and this is unrunnable now also, but still pretty good here.
Yeah, 3 encounters in Mount Golg in the GBA version is, it's not too bad. It's one of the few places that you can actually see the encounter rate difference between GBA and PSP. Because on the world map or other dungeons, it looks very similar. But here in Marsh Cave, where the encounter rates are lowered, you can see that there actually is a difference between the 2 games.
Yes, it's my fault. Should have healed before the fight, but got unlucky.
What
But
happened?
teams don't give that much experience. She casted Fire before the white mage healed, and so my lower HP red mage died.
Okay.
It's a turn or 2 more, I think. Not worth resetting for.
Gonna try something. Yes. Cool. No, I didn't want to do that, but whatever. Actually, I saved just before.
So on Nicky's end, with Mount Golg out of the way, the next stop is Gaia, where we need to release that bottled fairy we bought at the caravan to pick up the Oxy Ale, and the Oxy Ale will allow us to breathe underwater, and of course access the underwater Sunken Shrine. As well as there's a little bit of shopping to be done in here. We're going to buy a ruby armlet, some protect rings, some more cottages, and ethers for MP restoration. So the description for the Protect Ring in FF1 is actually a little bit of a misnomer. It states that it protects against instant death attacks, which is not entirely true. It only protects against death attacks that are specifically death elemental, like the spells Death and Kill. Many other like instant KO abilities like Earthquake or Break and stuff like that, it does not protect. Yes, or Scourge. It doesn't protect against them. So it's only a half protection against instant death attacks, but you'll get some protection later on by picking up ribbons. So on Nicky's end, taking a little bit of a detour into the waterfall cavern to pick up the warp cube. The warp cube is necessary to get into the last of the 4 elemental dungeons of the game.
I didn't predict that.
The waterfall cave where Nicky is another place that has a bunch of nasty encounters. The nightmares are really fast and can outspeed you.
Yeah.
There's a 1 in 64 chance to get green dragons, which are a particularly nasty encounter. The mummies and clay golems are not so much. They're more manageable than the other encounters. So with level 30 White Mage on Leonis' side, he's just about finished up with the grind.
Done.
I believe you just stop and kill all the nightmares, right, Nicky?
At least for now, yes.
Because nightmares have a very high agility, so it's extremely hard to run away from them.
In this dungeon, it's a lot easier than the one we saw in Citadel, but they also hit quite hard. So just for Yura's sake, I just decided to kill them. Usually it's like, depending on RNG, what's the best decision?
So this RPG Jerkbird encounter that we saw going through the dirt. Yeah, this is a forced RPG Jerkbird encounter. It's a spike tile in front of the door. You have to fight this.
Yeah, you can run away from it, but it's still just a very terrible encounter to play around, to just have to do, just because of the if you haven't got protect rings, then Pyralisks can kill easy. Also, we just saw Leonis escape from the magical dark wizards.
Yeah, but not this time.
Leonis has been getting all of the 1 in 64s.
Yeah. Well, should be one to get all those. Better be me.
In fact,
it's cool.
I think with that, Leonis has gotten every single rare encounter in the Cavern of Ice.
Yeah.
It's already unlucky enough to see one of them, but to see all of them in one run is incredibly unlucky.
I'm here to show everything from the game to the chat, so.
He also saw the super hype rare encounter in Cavern of Earth, the Ochre Jelly. That is another 1 in 64,
yeah.
but the Ochre Jellies, unlike the ones in Cavern of Ice, are relatively tame, and so it's more of a... some of the PSP runners view the Ochre Jelly as a sign of good luck if you run into them.
Oh. Well. Not sure if it's the same for GBA, but sure, why not?
I think you probably had a really good ice cabinet if you were doing all bestiary.
Yeah.
Like, that's a bunch of the worst encounters all in the same place. It's like, yeah. But then I think of course, white dragons you see in the Chaos Shrine when you see them again. And then I think dark wizards are in Tiamat's dungeon, if I'm not mistaken, as well.
Yeah.
Dark fighters together.
Yes, paired with Dark Fighters.
Also, it means I'm counting on you to get finally the Warmech encounter everyone is looking for.
I had my first in-run Warmech encounter last week.
Yes, that's right.
Nice.
We
I
got
just immediately escaped because it was a preemptive, but
we got shafted in RPG Limit Break. We didn't get to see the Warmech, although chat was
Yeah,
very
so-
hyped for it.
Well, let's watch me having it. That would be hilarious, really, from start to end, having all the encounters you shouldn't have.
So for a little bit of background explanation for people who are unfamiliar with FF1, the most hype 1 in 64 encounter is the Warmech. You can only encounter him on the 5th floor of the Flying Fortress. You can encounter him in a bonus dungeon in PSP as well, but in the rest of the games, or at least in the main story, you can only encounter him on the 5th floor, and he's a 1 in 64 encounter. But on top of that, the 5th floor is incredibly small. It's very common to only ever get one encounter on that floor.
it's just a bridge at the end of the day,
Yeah,
really.
it's just a bridge to the boss. So not only is it a 1 in 64 encounter, but it's probably the rarest 1 in 64 encounter to get just because of the encounter rate there. That's
So here-
also he's the NES version super boss. He was the encounter in the NES version that was essentially the super boss. He has an incredible amount of HP and attack. He's very, very dangerous, but he also gives 30,000 experience. So if you manage to find him and kill him, that is an extremely good bonus for the rest of the run for you.
And now, here, Nicky has just picked up the Rosetta Stone. It's much better than the Windows alternative, and it actually helps you learn a language within like 10 seconds, which is great. So we'll be seeing that again later on, but we have to basically go out of our way to pick up the we have to pick it up before we can progress further after we kill Kraken. So rather than picking it, or rather than not picking it up, finding out we need to pick it up, and then picking it up, which I think was their original intention, we now do this.
So here you see Nicky using Thundara to take care of the Sahagan Prince and Chief encounters. That's one of the 3 encounters here that has an unrunnable flag. And multiple encounters of them in a row is it's very bad luck. Like I said, you have to stop and fight them. The ghosts and the water elementals, are the encounters that you can't run away from here. So a lot of this dungeon, the Sunken Shrine, is just hoping that you don't get these encounters because you have to stop and fight them every time. On Leonis' side, he's finished up with the grind and now he's going to do all the shopping sequence.
No, not this way.
And here we see Nicky picking up the second ribbon of the run. I think I was away when we were talking, when the first ribbon was up, or when the first ribbon was picked up, but basically ribbon acts as it does in every other Final Fantasy game. It prevents all status ailments from occurring to any of your characters that have them equipped. It also actually has quite a good elemental resistance, so it doesn't like make a massive difference
Yeah,
to
it
how
has
much damage.
elemental
But
damage.
yeah, it makes a significant enough difference for it to be worth keeping on for the entire run.
Yeah, that's probably one of its better properties, is the half elemental damage.
Yes, it has resistance. That's the main part of it.
And the fact that it makes you immune to Scourge is a huge plus, especially for the bosses later on, one in particular. But the half elemental damage is a huge thing.
Here we see Leonis entering the Mount Gulg.
It's really unfortunate. Nicky is getting just swamped with the unrunnable encounters in Sunken Shrine.
The amount is not even that surprising, it's just unfortunate that it's always Sahagins. Like, if it would
all
be
Sahag.
Ghosts, it would be so much faster.
Yeah, the Sahagins are probably the worst of the unrunnables here.
At least with
Because
Ghosts, they're easy enough to kill in one go. But Sahagins, it takes a good couple of turns to kill every one of them for some reason or another.
It only takes one turn, but every Sahagin gets an attack off. It's like, yeah.
Exactly. It's not good. And now we're up to Kraken, the next of the four fiends.
release the Kraken.
After this one, there'll only be one more fiend left to kill. And then we get to kill them all again. Pretty much. So, yeah.
Kraken in GBA can be a little bit of a troll if he wants to.
Yeah. Here we see the first usage of the Giant's Glove. Sorry about that. The first usage of Giant's Gloves. Basically, it increases your agility and your strength at the same time. So not only does it help to increase how many attacks you can do in one attack, but also increases the damage of each one. So it's very good. The unfortunate thing about it, though, is that it's only self-target, so the warrior has to take a turn to use it. So we miss out a turn of damage output, but it's worth it. It's easily worth it.
Yeah, especially since in the early turns you don't deal much damage anyway.
The upside to it is that because it's a piece of equipment, using it does not consume it in your inventory.
Yeah,
so you can.
use it
It's
again and
basically it's just an item that allows you to cast a spell when you use it as an item. So you'll have it for the rest of the run. There are several other pieces of equipment that if you use it as an item rather than as an equipment, it casts a spell, and they're not consumed when you do that.
Ooh. Labyrinth disposed.
That was a really good Marilith
Nice.
fight by the looks
Yeah.
of it.
Alright, sub 2 as well. That's good.
So here Nicky's picking up Hilaga on the White Wizard. That's the reason that we needed to be level 33, is Hilaga requires that level in order to be learned. And we're going to be needing that to keep our health at a reasonable level at the final boss.
Chat. Sorry, chat.
So the next stop for Nikki is back to Melmond. It's a town that we've visited twice before. And what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be using the Rosetta Stone that we picked up to learn Lufenian. And that way we can speak to the people in the town of Lufenia, because they speak a different language.
Nobody saw that.
Very
Right.
quickly learn it.
Nobody saw what just happened.
Well, now that you've mentioned it,
Nothing happened, Leonis?
No, I didn't land on the village. Not at all.
landing the airship is a
No one
bit
does
of a
it
pain.
ever.
So on Nikki's side, it's time for one of the worst walks in the game. If the walk to the Marsh Cave was bad, this one is equally as bad. There's
Oh,
the
yeah.
Minotaur
Oh,
zombies.
damn. So
The Minotaur
so-
zombies and trolls are unrunnable here. So those are a particularly nasty encounter. This walk can decide to troll you and waste a lot of time if you get unlucky. Here's one of those Minotaur zombie troll encounters. Because this also has an unrunnable flag, you have to stop and fight them. Luckily enough, like the rest of the undead, they are weak to fire, so you can just spam fire on them to kill them.
So did Nikki buy the knight's armor?
Yes.
Yeah, because someone in the chat was asking why she had bought it. So maybe she has an explanation to offer.
So in general, you want for the knight to get one, I would call it late game armor. The old route got the ice armor in Ice Cavern, for which you have a spike tail of white dragons in front of. And the knight's armor is just, it is slightly worse, but it is by far the easiest to get just for a decent amount of gil we can afford. Also, my pace is still really good. Like, the only time I'm behind is from dying to Lich, basically.
Yeah, your run's been looking very, very good, Nikki.
Usually I look at sub 2 chimes, so being 3 minutes behind that is just dying to Lich.
Nikki is getting pretty unlucky with the unrunnables on this walk.
Thankfully, they are quite susceptible to the magic of the sun, which is nice. But
You can also kill them with fire.
Let's see it this way. Yura will be happy to get some experience.
exactly.
Those horses love me.
So, Mirage Tower is a pretty relatively simple dungeon. We're going to be skipping the majority of the chests here. I think we picked some stuff up in Flying Fortress, but there's really nothing in Mirage that interests us as far as the road is concerned.
Like I said, it could be some something like the dragon mail, but we just get the knight's armor instead.
There's also the Sunblade as well. If you're, they originally used to be picked up during PSX, but but it's not the amount of time and the amount of encounters you risk facing trying to pick it up. Is less than the amount of time you waste.
So I'm not sure if I mentioned this before. Here's an encounter with the vampire, and the vampire is the boss that we fought in the Cavern of Earth. Now, the interesting thing about this refight encounter is that the flag on the encounter as to whether or not it's unrunnable, because it was a former boss, is only tied to the amount of vampires that you get. So if you get a single vampire, it is unrunnable, but if you get multiple of them, you can actually run away. It seems that the vampires are not wanting to let Nicky run away, so she's gonna have to stop and fight them anyway. But that's one of the few unrunnable encounters that's actually kind of quirky like that. Or because it's a former boss, if you encounter it by itself alone, it's unrunnable, but if you encounter it in a pack, you can run. You can see Nicky's going for the strat where basically she just tries to run on the first turn, and if she doesn't get the flee, then she'll stop and kill him.
Yeah, it was just that the knight also got paralyzed and the HP started dropping. So I just decided to play it safe and attack the vampires first time.
Coming up pretty soon on the entrance to the Flying Fortress, there's a spike tile in front of the door that contains a blue dragon, and that being unrunnable, you also can't run away, you have to stop and fight it. As you can see, it's a particularly nasty encounter. Thunderbolt does a decent amount of damage. It's never a threat to kill you, but it can definitely hurt your characters. So now that we're in Flying Fortress, we are going to stop and pick up some chests. I believe one of them is a ribbon. I'm not sure what the other one is.
The diamond shield?
Diamond shield, okay, yeah, that would make
shield.
sense.
Nothing really important. It's just on the way, so might as well.
The ribbon is the important one. That basically gives us 3 ribbons, which it gives 3 characters immunity to instant death and elemental resistance.
There is also one thing that I think isn't in this route, but it is in the PSX route, is the adamantium that we can use to get a hold of. Yeah, in the it allows us to get Excalibur, which I'm thinking like in terms of the original version of the game, it was considered the ultimate weapon, I'd think. Because it was one of the highest strength weapons you could get. Not only that, but it also did elemental damage to whatever weakness they had without having any damage taken off for being effective against other elemental weaknesses. So it was pretty good.
Yeah, in the original version of the game, like the NES version, and then carried over to the PSX, because the PSX is essentially a port of the NES, whereas the GBA is like a remade system.
Yeah.
The Excalibur is the best weapon in those versions of the game, but because of the addition of the optional dungeons in GBA and PSP, those dungeons have new weapons in them that are more powerful than the Excalibur. Of course, it's a complete waste of time to go into the bonus dungeons to get them, so we never actually see them. The exception being in the PSP route where we can actually glitch some of those weapons. In the PSP route, we glitch ourselves Barbarian Sword, which is the most powerful weapon in that version of the game. I think it's almost 3 times the attack power of the Excalibur.
Hmm.
Also, Nikki is coming up on the 5th floor of the Flying Fortress. This is the floor where we can potentially see the Warmech super boss.
Which I've never actually seen.
I've seen it in a run once.
Hmm.
Yeah, I didn't
Oh,
encounter him. It happened.
I
Nope.
thought it was. It looked like
No?
it.
Oh.
Maybe on the way out.
It is possible.
Actually.
Yeah, we got a Neochu, not a Warmech, unfortunately.
Hmm.
So here Nikki's fighting Tiamat. She is the last of the 4 elemental fiends, and arguably one of the more dangerous ones. I'd say in terms of the speed route, Lich is because of your level and the lack of available spells at your disposal.
Yeah,
but-
Lich is
but-
always the hardest.
But Tiamat
Kraken
can hit
can
very,
be-
very hard.
Tricky as well because he has this critical hit potential. So I wouldn't make Kraken being out of the scene for that.
Yeah, Tiamat's AoE spells hit pretty hard. So now you're seeing a Curiga spam from the White Mage. That'll help keep our HP up. As you see, Poison Gas and Thunderbolt are pretty hard hitting. The interesting thing about Poison Gas is that Poison is actually an element in FF1, so the ribbon cuts the damage that Poison Gas does. So maybe if Cat spams Warmech really, really hard, we'll get a Warmech on the way out.
Or they can just wait for me to go there. As well.
And now with the 4 elemental fiends down, it's time for the final dungeon of the game on Nikki's side, the Chaos Shrine.
First an encounter with 2 Gigas worms.
That is it's a
Wow,
super
I
troll
don't
when you get
think
an
when
encounter in between.
Ever seen 2 Gigas worms?
Not
Yeah.
there. No, definitely not there. I've never seen that. That's weird. Normally you see 1, but 2 is a bit scary because
Yeah,
they do quite a bit of
that's
damage
really,
in the
really
early game.
rare.
So, like, you might see 2 on the other side of the bridge, but
So here in
No.
Chaos Shrine, we have one of what is, in my opinion, one of the better music pieces of the game. The Sunken Shrine and this one are just absolutely phenomenal music pieces.
Yeah, true.
There are several unrunnable encounters here in the Chaos Shrine as well. The purple worms that you just saw are one of them. Green dragons are particularly nasty unrunnables as well. Once dragon zombies are unrunnable, and then once you get down into the basement of the Chaos Shrine, each floor has one of the 4 elemental fiends that we spent the entire game fighting, and each of their floors has enemies that are specific to the dungeons that you were in when you fought them originally. So for example, on Lich's floor, earth elementals can show up. They're also unrunnable. You can see the red dragons on Marilith's floor, the water elementals on Kraken's floor, for example.
So that wasn't a really bad Sunken Shrine actually.
Yeah, I think you definitely caught up some time on Nicky through that Sunken Shrine.
What was that Dark Wizard encounter? Or what is that? I haven't escaped yet, but what? Just nothing but hits for 1 damage, no
it was
spells.
neither an ambush, not a preemptive. And people told me that it's actually easy to run away from. And the wizards don't cast Faraga.
I didn't even know you could encounter them on that floor.
Let's see what Kraken has in store. Not too bad of a first turn.
There you see Nicky just resetting over the green dragons, another one of Chaos' Shrine's numerous unrunnable encounters. That one's particularly nasty, they like to spam Poison Elemental on you.
Ooh. Wow, my Kraken is actually perfect. Only physical attack and only on my warrior.
Aye, that's a really good Kraken.
Yeah, that's definitely a little bit of time caught up for you from that Sunken Shrine.
Ice Gigas and Winter Wolf is another inescapable encounter. It's just awful.
I'd have to say this is one of the more nasty unrunnable encounters, I think even in both versions of the game, because the Ice Gigas have a rather high magic resist, so you not only do you have to kill them with spells, but you have to physically attack the Ice Gigas as well, so you can't just spam magic, you have to spend time targeting the Ice Gigas on top of that.
Aye. Not only that, but the Ice Wolves can all cast Ice Storm. Even though it's not a high damage variant of Ice Storm, the animation is just too long.
Yeah, the animation for Ice Storm just takes forever. Luckily, they just seem to be physically attacking and playing a little bit nice. You can see just even with the physically attacking the Ice Gigas, that was a 2-round fight just because of the magic resist on the Ice Gigases.
Oh, 4 dragon zombies. Although Dialga helps, and so does Faraga because they're weak to both of them. And the best thing about dragon zombies, there is a very, very, very slim chance of them dropping a Mega Elixir.
Yeah, the rare drop is a Mega Elixir. That can be extremely useful on the final boss if you get one.
Yeah, but that's generally only used so I don't have to either and heal everything. Like, it saves 30 seconds.
Yeah.
For safety, I picked up the elixir for the final fight if things go really wrong. That's just as good.
Because then you can just use elixir on the white mage and then suddenly max HP, max MP, which is more important. Because Hilaga, the main spell that we use in the final boss, it just eats up your MP like nothing else.
So this has been a pretty unlucky Chaos Shrine so far on Nicky's end. It's just runnable encounter after unrunnable encounter, and the white dragons themselves are pretty nasty too.
It can definitely also go a lot better.
So this part is the bane of my existence.
The Lufenia walk.
Yeah. It can be very great as it can be very awful.
My FF1 PSP PB has a very, very, very good walk to Lufenia, so it's a place
yeah.
that I lose so much time in my own runs, and I can
My
imagine
PB
that
has
anybody
as
else
well.
that has, anybody else
Yeah.
that has a good walk, like you would just bleed time there if you get unlucky.
I remember I had a PB where I was like, great, no unrunnables, that's awesome. And then came the next round, was like, no runnables, I give you no encounters. And yeah, welcome to the world of goals, which you will never ever beat again.
So here you've got Earth Elementals on Lich floor, which are also unrunnable. Hopefully, if Leonis gets a really good endgame, you can definitely cut back some of the time loss that he had in the early part of the run, because like the last little bit of this run is started to take a downturn as far as time waste is concerned.
And there's Leo getting blocked by an NPC. I just saw that on the preview. This the one thing I don't think we've mentioned is that in Lufenia, NPCs are the worst thing. They're all just nothing but like one width, one tile width pathways that you have to walk down. It's silly because there's so many
Honestly,
NPCs.
NPCs in this
the
entire
best
game are
in-
bad.
To me, the bats in the waterfall cave are way worse.
Oh, the bats in the waterfall cave. It's just like no move.
Yeah.
Move. Yeah.
Another
Like,
terrible
oh yeah, I will
NPC.
go into the way and you have to take six extra steps to run around me. Have fun
Another-
with
Or
that.
just before vampire in Lich Cave can be very troublesome if it goes in the corridor you want
Yeah.
to take.
Don't forget the brooms in Matoya's cave. Those ones
Oh, yeah.
those ones have a history on the PSP run. There was one
I had a
run
broom
that was
earlier.
there was one run on the PSP version that lost 30 seconds because the broom blocked the door in Matoya's
Oh.
cave, and that actually cost him the world record at the time.
Oh,
So we're on Lich Part 2 now, which is where the fun begins. All of the refights, they have more health, they do more damage, and they have more abilities. The one of note for Lich is Flare. It's
Yeah.
awful.
You thought Blazaro was bad? He's upgraded it.
Yep, he's upgraded it. Oh! Here we go. Luckily, they've all got fairly high amounts of health, but not all of them do.
Yeah,
So-
unlike Blazaro, where Blazaro can just wipe your party and you have to reset. Flare, luckily, you can tank for the most part. Also, luckily, in the GBA version, Flare's animation is much shorter than it is in the PSP version.
Yeah, the PSP version, it's just that I think they realize, oh, we've got sort of a more powerful console, we can probably make this a bit flashier, but they've also made it longer in the process, which isn't great.
It's like 8 seconds, the animation. It's so long. Could almost make a sandwich in the time that it takes to cast it. With Lich down, now we're on Merilith floor. Now Merilith floor is it's very short. You usually only get a couple of encounters here. It's just a little loop around and you're at the boss. As well, I think the only unrunnable on this floor is a 1 in 64 encounter.
Yep, the fire elemental.
You can encounter... Are red dragons unrunnable? I know you can encounter them here as well.
I have never actually encountered them, to be honest.
I
Which
had one
one?
recently. Red dragons. You can encounter on the Merilith floor as well.
I encountered one in a run recently, so I collect them.
I'm pretty sure they are also unrunnable. Now, Marilith 2, just like the first Marilith, is a much-needed reprieve from what the hard
Wow.
boss it is, Lich. Although that
Fortunately,
crit,
Cory got haste off.
yeah, that was a particularly nasty crit. As I was saying, that she doesn't really hit hard. She decided to crit.
No, usually she is the one really easy fiend.
It's the commentary curse.
Nah. It's FF1.
So the good thing is that these refights don't really give you any experience. Well, they give you, I think, 1 experience, so dying on this
Yeah,
fight
1.
does not matter as far as your levels are concerned.
Okay, everybody's hyped up for a potential war mech encounter. As I'm in the Sky Fortress.
Keep your fingers crossed for Warmac.
Yay! Wish me bad luck.
Well, I'd rather not, but
Yeah, but that would be funny, really. You would have encountered every enemies you can in an actual run.
So just like the Sunken Shrine, the Kraken Floor and Chaos Shrine can also troll. The water elementals are unrunnable and they come in rather large packs. So if you get unlucky, you'll have to stop and fight encounters here as well. But otherwise, there's nothing particularly dangerous, the same as the Sunken Shrine.
the only thing
No.
really is just water elementals that you have to look out for. Other encounters, generally, it's easy enough to run away from them, so it's nothing you have to worry about trying to kill them.
So apparently my level is rather high because I didn't even need the Sandara, which is unusual, but Yura's HP just... No. Really looking
Yura's
forward to
HP is
chaos.
just...
Yeah,
make
either you
sure
got
that's
some-
not the red mage with the ribbon on.
Either you got some good intelligence rolls, or it's the amount of unrunnables that you've had to fight so far.
227 could still be enough with a ribbon, but
I think it
Yeah.
probably, like, potentially it could be, but
usually it is. Actually, you can just take it times 2. Except if he decides to physical hit Yura, then it's just ripped.
I'm not sure how your equipment stats stack up on Chaos, but I know in PSP that's the threshold that you want on your Black Mages, like 223. So you're about at the threshold where you might be a little safe.
Also awesome encounter here.
Yeah, these Sahagin princes and sharks are trolling.
Oh, very sorry for the background noises. I'm gonna mute this.
Mind Flayers are spamming Mind Blast on Leonis. That's pretty much a reset.
yeah, it's not... Mind Flayers are not fun encounters if you can't run away from them. They're just... They have so much potential to just wreck everything, unfortunately.
Yeah, fortunately, they don't have much HP and they are not that hard to run away from. But still, once they start rolling, you just have to reset.
So here we are, about to enter the 5th floor. So let's get some Warmech hype going.
War mech! War mech! War mech!
War mech!
War mech!
War mech!
Warmech, Warmech. I believe. Fortunately, Leonis is getting a rather above average encounter rate on the 4th floor.
Mm.
Here you see him save at the beginning of the 5th floor because just in the off chance he does get Warmech, there is the potential that it can wipe you.
Yeah. No. Well, I mean, he's got 3 ribbons now, so Mind Blast is not as... How did it hit 2 of them?
Ribbons don't make you immune to that.
I thought they did.
Nope.
Huh.
Nope, they don't.
They're immune to all status ailments is also a little bit of a misnomer, just like the Protect Ring. Or to immune to statuses, rather.
I want to say probably this is not unrunnable, but...
It's not.
It's
Dragon
not.
zombies with the Vampire Lord can be ran from.
But it
Yeah.
would have still been nice experience, so... But yeah. The knight pulls through.
2 encounters before Tiamat is rather unlucky, though.
Yeah.
You bet.
So we're almost about to see both runners simultaneously fighting Tiamat.
Nice. We are totally in sync.
In FF9
That's
for
just
Tiamat.
something cool to look at.
In FF9 for Tiamat, there is only Jetfire, but in FF1 for Tiamat, there's only Scourge.
Yeah.
Luckily,
When
we
it's
have
the
ribbons.
opening turn, you are freaking out.
Yeah. Here we go.
In older
here we
versions
go.
of the route, we didn't have ribbons, so it was very possible for Scourge to just one-hit you.
Yeah. That was a bad time. That was such an awful time.
Chrono Kirby has a nice gif of that somewhere.
It's the best GIF. It's an amazing, amazing GIF.
Tiamat done.
Leonis killed Tiamat first, so he must be ahead, Kappa.
I can still have the Warmech.
That's true, you can still get Warmech. As you can see with the Tiamat 2 fight, there's not much more than the Tiamat 1 fight that you really have to do. Spam Hilaga and Haste Temper Giant's Gloves. The Warrior just does massive amounts of damage after you pump him up.
Chat, boys, girls, if you want a Warmech, that's time to pray. Nope.
Spoilers, Kappa.
Kappa.
Unfortunately, guys, there's no Warmech today.
And this year.
Maybe next marathon we'll get a Warmech.
Is it really 1 in 64? It feels so much less.
Warmech? Yeah, it's 1 in 64.
The last cottage of the game.
It feels like it's rare because the encounter rate on that screen is so low. And now Leonis is finally entering the Chaos Shrine.
Yay! We did it!
On Nicky's side, we're about to start the final boss. Now, the final boss can be
Nice.
trollier than the rest of the game combined, if he wants to be.
Good luck, Nikki.
If we take out Lich, yeah. Thanks.
So, there's an interesting thing about Chaos, is that he has a sort of a set yet random pattern. He can spam a lot of physical attacks, he can spam AoE attacks, and he can spam spells. Now, the thing with his AoE attacks, stuff like Cyclone and Tsunami and Blaze, is that even though they look like they're elemental, they're actually non-elemental. So you will see, if he uses one of those followed by an actual spell, you will see a big difference in the damage that it does to your characters. So what you really want to hope for is you want to hope for spells like Blizzaga, because not only does it have a lower animation time, but it also does less damage to your characters. It makes the odds of your characters going down much less. The really dangerous part about this fight is when he uses his AoE pattern and he does stuff like Laze, Tsunami, and Cyclone back to back to back. That's pretty much a reset, and you have no choice. You just have to reset and try again.
Unfortunately, as well, his best moves tend to be his regular spell moves, because things like Blizzaga, Thundaga, etc., they do approximately 200 damage, and Hilaga will heal for more than that, on average. So, if he's doing those moves, it's great, but normally if he's doing those moves, it means there's a chance for him to use Curaja, which is the opposite of the best move he can use. In fact, it's the worst possible situation you can be in, pretty much, with this fight.
So an interesting thing is, like, you can learn... here's the Tsunami. You can learn Curaja as a spell, and a lot of people have always wondered, why does it heal for 9,999 when you can't even have that much maximum HP? Well, this fight is the reason why. It's the 5th spell in his spell pattern, and it heals him for 9,999. That's half of his HP, because he has 20k.
Yeah. In previous versions, that was all of his health. He was back at max. This version, he has more than that, so if you've done more than 10,000, then it heals him for an obviously significant amount. But, you know, he's not at max, which is, I guess, a slight bonus.
So here you see, this is probably the worst chaos pattern that Nicky can be getting right now. Blaze, Tsunami, Cyclone.
Used one physical on the night. That helped a lot.
Yeah, the physical in
physicals are
between
good.
lets you kind of heal up some of the damage
That's the
that
reason why
Tsunami
the red
Cyclone
mages
does.
look as alive as they look.
Yeah.
Also, I hope Cruel is ready soon.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, Blizzaga, that's
Ready.
not bad. Hey, Cruel.
Hey.
Hey, Cruel. See, look at the huge damage reduction that does, and it only did more on one of the red mages, because that red mage does not have a ribbon. Like I said, the other spells, the AoEs, like Blaze, Tsunami, Cyclone, are non-elemental, even though they don't look it.
Ooh, Earthquake. Nice. Earthquake it will probably kill... Normally it kills the one that doesn't have ribbon, but
Yep.
at the same time, it doesn't hit all the time as well, so that's a freebie, that turn. That's a good thing to see, if it doesn't kill. If it does kill, it's not the end of the world either, so it's a good move for him to use.
Yeah, the
but we
ribbons
are
make
pretty
you immune
close
to Earthquake.
Curaja now.
He's looking quite close to it, aye. And you can see those speed drinks, Nicky's just thrown one and it does an extra 600 damage around, you know? Or only managed to get one off before the knight attacked, and just...
Physicals on the knight is exactly what you want to see, because he just has so much HP that it's basically a free turn to heal everyone up.
And he has quite a bit of defense, well, so you can see he got physical, and he's only, what, 37 HP off of being back at max health after one Hilaga. It's the best thing to happen, and it's, you know, this is quite a good chaos fight.
Yeah, it didn't start off very good, but it's starting to turn around.
Yeah.
It's a slow one, but not necessarily a bad one yet.
Yeah, the only thing that we want to see, or we don't want to see, is Curaja get off.
Nice. This could be the last turn. Depends on the roll.
Nice
We are at
physical.
15k.
Nice. Go for it.
Oh, a nice use of an elixir there.
Fine.
Okay, then let me get started in the meantime.
GG, Nicky.
Yeah,
Good job,
GG.
Nicky. That was quite the run.
that was a good run. That was a very good run.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, it was good.
Yeah, the only
there's
thing
my
that
first
really
death.
the only really bad parts of that run were the deaths to Lich because he wanted to troll, and the Chaos Shrine was below average. But other than that, it was a phenomenal run.
Yeah, definitely. Very impressive to get that kind of run in a marathon.
You can't
So
really
it's-
ask for
I
much more
mean-
than that.
what, a 2:39.34? That's a fantastic time in general, let alone
Oh,
in a
definitely.
marathon.
Definitely.
That's still faster than anybody else on the leaderboards.
Yep. So we just died. We had to die here on purpose. This... I'll give, for the ones that are... or in the meantime, just a quick idea of what FF2 is about. So we're some youths from some random town, and the Emperor, he's trying to conquer the world. And in the process, he destroyed the city we live in, as well as he killed our parents. So we're 4 youths, although one of them is missing, who kind of want to get their revenge on the Empire, so to speak.
Meanwhile, we're seeing Leonis having to do quite a few save and resets by the look of it, but he's on his way to the refight with Lich. Now, we talked a bit about Lich earlier, how he's a lot stronger this time around. However, it looks like Leonis has got quite a lot more HP on his red mages than Nicky did, so they should be quite safer this time around, I think, these refights.
Yeah.
The refights will be a bit safer, and Chaos will be a bit safer with the extra HP.
Yeah, so I will be heading off. Thanks for the relay, thanks for the GGs. Good luck, Jonas.
Congrats,
and
Nicky.
May
Congrats,
the
Nicky.
Team Choco win.
Was a pleasure to run alongside you.
So in the meantime, I'm buying some bucklers here. Basically, for the early part of this game, a lot of it is going to be about increasing my level of both my barehanded and my shield. The shield will be what affects my chances of running away, and the barehanded will need for some early bosses. Let's see how we can do.
Barehanded is a very, very powerful thing in FF2, especially in the early game. If you take the time to build up your barehanded abilities, then you can just punch anything to death. It's fantastic.
Yeah, so especially for the earlier bosses, where we don't really have the ability to get a lot of spells yet, we'll be using barehanded to kill off bosses. Later on, we'll get a lot of spells very, very easily through, well, I guess you'll see, but through the amount of money that we'll be getting. There is a way to get nearly infinite money in this game, and we'll be abusing that to get enough to buy so many spells that we'd have enough for the entire rest of the game.
Just like FF1, FF2 has a little puzzle game that you can play on a ship that nets you a lot of money. We saw it here with 15 Puzzle. In FF2, it's a memory game, so it's basically like memory cards.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not particularly great at memory, but you'll see we can still do that. We can still get enough money out of it, even though I'm bad at it.
Yeah, FF2 runners are very good at remembering things, Kappa. The stat system in FF2 is very unique as well to the FF series, where in order to build things up, you have to use them. It also applies to MP and HP, so in order to get more max HP, you've got to get hit, which is it's considered to be one of the more difficult games for casual players, just because of this. Because it's
So very often, when playing this game casually, if you want to increase your health, which helps you survive a lot of the later fights, you'd have to at some point either get hit, which is kind of hard. If you kill everything in one shot, you don't really get hit, so that doesn't help. Or you could just attack yourself, which is what a lot of casual players do, just to get their health up. Now, obviously, doing so would be kind of slow, so we'll not really be doing that much. We'll mostly be focusing on getting at least our shield and our barehanded level up, and everything else, well, we've found ways around it, so to speak.
On Leonis' side, you saw during the Lich fight that Flare, he just completely tanked it because he has so much HP. His HP growths are really absolutely amazing in this run.
So yeah, when we asked to join the rebellion here, the princess said that, you know, we shouldn't be risking our lives. So what we're doing is we're going to the town of Finn, and we're gonna try to find Scott, is the brother of the Prince of Kajuan. So, I mean, technically he's also the Prince of Kajuan, but he fought in the war here as well, and he's been missing ever since. I'm gonna pick up all 3 potions here for safety.
Essentially, she told us, please don't risk your lives for the rebellion, so we decided, let's go risk our lives for the rebellion.
Yeah,
That's
pretty
essentially
much.
what's happened.
And we do end up finding Scott. He's hidden away in some bar. He's very, very wounded. And just as we meet him, he is about to pass away. But in the process, he does give us his ring as proof that we found him. So I guess that's something.
Yeah.
Guess it's better than getting a rat's tail as proof that we found him.
That's true. At least this has some form of value, or you would think at least.
On Leonis' side, that's Merilith down, so it's just Kraken and Tiamat to go before the final boss. Chaos' Shrine doesn't seem to be treating him too badly right now.
Chaos Shrine is going quite well.
For once.
Yeah.
So you'll see early on in this game, I won't be running away from encounters, which is pretty much a very big difference, I feel like, with most Final Fantasy speedruns. Like, usually you want to avoid encounters as much as possible. Because our shield level isn't too high yet, if I were to try to run away now, I wouldn't really succeed well. So it's on average faster to just punch most things to death.
Oh yeah, we also have a slightly different commentary team joining in for Final Fantasy II. I think they're currently both muted right now. We've got Crack Attack and Neros Soren alongside us. I think they're currently muted, but yeah.
Yeah, we'll be hearing from both of those soon. They will be helping us with the commentary for Final Fantasy II.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have them join in after Leonis is finished with FF1.
Sounds good.
As I can just see in chat, Seven has managed to get the Frankerface Z plugin working, so feel free to
Nice.
use the FFC following buttons for both runners. If you haven't already followed them as Leonis07 and Cruel.
And also all of their FFZ emotes.
Yes, you can use their FFC emotes in chat as well now.
I have some.
That does unlock the ochre jelly. It's a bit late for that, but it does unlock the ochre jelly. So in the meantime, I'm back at Altair, and we've shown the princess the ring. After which she starts talking to us a little bit more about the war and how we could potentially help her. And it turns out, you know, we need weapons to actually be able to fight that thing, or to fight the Empire. So what she asked us to do is to go look if we can get some mithril, because, you know, better equipment and better weapons and stuff would help in a war like this. And with that, we're gonna see if we can get some of that mithril. And this is also, like, the area that I'm going in is also pretty much the only area in the entire game that we're actually going to be doing some grinding. You'll see this next area actually takes quite a while because of it, mostly because we're killing off a lot of encounters, and we're actually spending more time than that just to get our levels up even further.
So Kraken refight is down for Leonis. That wasn't too bad of a fight either.
I
by
think
the
it was a
looks of it.
fairly good fight. Again, definitely one of the biggest positives about Leonis' current party is that his max HP across his red mages is a lot better off than Nicky's
Sure
was.
helps.
So yeah, you
There
just
was a
saw
7
me-
encounter ambush there on Leonis' side, and it's just faster to reset. He saved literally the tile before it, so you might as well just reset. It's faster than waiting out all their animations.
So yeah, you may have noticed there that I put every character in the back row, and that's very specific for the way that we're going to grind out those levels. I'm hoping for small encounters. That's ideal, especially this early on. So I'm gonna pretend punch this soldier.
Opening turn scorch.
Let's do another pretend punch there. So because they're in the back row, they can't actually hit this soldier, and I'm relying on Minwoo to actually deal the damage. There we go. I think that's everybody to level 3. Ideally, I want everyone at level 3 at this point, with the potential exception of Minwoo, which I did manage to get, so that's quite lucky. Okay, this is a bit of a nasty encounter here.
Okay, I'll do without that red mage. That's definitely something.
I think with Tiamat, I think if you pop another Giant's Glove, then it should...
Problem is that I don't have haste. That wasn't the right one to be down, actually.
Did you only buy haste on one of them?
Yeah. For being faster. Okay.
It's unfortunate that Tiamat decided to be a little bit of a
Once
jerk.
again. Oh, it missed. Okay. I thought it was, yay, a remake.
Okay, this fight has been particularly unlucky so far. With the bow attack killing off Mog on my end, so I'm gonna try to just run away with the hopes that I will actually survive, and then try again on the next fight. That's pretty rare that I actually have to run away from a fight like that, but luckily we have Minwoo, and he has Cure, so we can heal off pretty quickly.
Yeah, the great thing about having Minwoo in FF2 is that he comes with like all the curative spells that you really need. So he has high level cure, and he has buff spells and all that awesome stuff. So he makes that segment of the game much easier for you.
Yeah, especially because early on we'll be taking a lot of damage because we have to stall some turns sometimes, especially like in this dungeon. So yeah, there you saw me stall a turn. That's just so that I can actually get my level up quicker.
Okay. Last one.
Nice.
And there's Tiamat 2 down. So for Leonis, all he has left is Chaos. If he can make it to the stairs without another encounter, then there's no more encounters for the rest of the game. And he did. So here, again, just for... it was the same thing for Nicky, but you have to kind of hope that Chaos decides to play nice. Luckily, because Leonis has such good health growth, the fight will be much safer than it would be otherwise.
Let's go!
So yeah, you'll see on all of these fights that I'm purposely stalling out the fight, and that's just so I can get enough hits off, or quote-unquote hits off, that I'm guaranteed to level very quickly. For most of the level ups, it's guaranteed to level up after 2 fights, so I should level up again to level 4 here. So I now have level 4 shield and level 4 on barehanded.
Let's see some Leo Karmas in chat for some good luck on Chaos.
That's an opener.
Blaze openers, not necessarily what you want to see at the beginning.
No, not really. As long as I can put some tonics before the healing, should be able to survive any other attacks. Should be doable. Ooh, I don't like that.
Yeah, this tsunami might hurt on the Might Red Mage because the health is really low at the moment. You have to hope here that Hilaga heals enough to survive the upcoming Cyclone. Because
I
Chaos
would need
likes...
a physical attack on someone, or like
Chaos
a
has a really high
Blizzaga or
tendency.
a Thundaga.
Chaos has an extremely high tendency of casting Cyclone after Tsunami, which does more damage than Tsunami does.
Thank you, Double. Woo!
There it is.
Well, okay.
There it is.
Oop, there it is. Whoop.
Nice, the clutch 21 HP.
Yeah. Earthquake. Okay. Almost.
Like,
no.
like before, Earthquake is, for the most part, a free turn. It's kind of a mixed blessing. You see that Chaos is repeating the Blaze Tsunami Cyclone cycle, but at least he's not spamming spells, so that makes the odds of seeing Curaja drop a little bit, so it's kind of a mixed blessing in this situation. Well, this Chaos is just being nasty.
Well.
One of the other big issues with these AoE spells, on top of the amount of damage it does, is that it's probably his longest animations, so it wastes even more time to see these animations. Like, the ideal fight is when he just physically attacks the warrior over and over.
Yeah, so my Chaos decided to go only special spells.
Okay, so in the meantime I hit level 5. I need 2 more levels before I'm actually done with all of the
Another
grinding.
Earthquake? Oh, that's unusual.
It's very unlikely I'll hit it before the Mithril. Though that can happen, although I've had to run from a couple fights, so it's pretty unlucky. Or pretty unlikely.
Wow, this Chaos is just... I don't even know what to say. Blaze, Tsunami, Cyclone, Earthquake, Blaze, Tsunami, Cyclone, Earthquake, Blaze.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that sounds like
what can I ask for more?
That sounds like a particularly unlucky Chaos right there.
There's the follow-up Tsunami. I mean, luckily that we got all the HP boosts up before all this, and we were able to survive his first round. So the second and third and fourth rounds of him doing this isn't threatening, it's just time wasting now. It's the first round when he does this that it's really the most dangerous out of all of them.
Yeah.
How is he not dead yet? I've seen like a bunch of 4K plus hits.
Should be next hit, I think.
Should be next hit by the look of it.
There you
There's
go.
the
I hope
Zaga.
it's next hit because that white mage is out of MP.
And that's it. GG, Leonis.
You can go down.
GG, Leonis. Well done.
Thank you. That was.